page number on this side. Standing at sea Mandi thought to themselves, the time limit fixed. Now Shri Ramayana, page number 758. Shri Ramayana, Shriramcharit. Thus they discoursed among themselves in many ways. Sampati, Jatayu's elder brother, heard them from his cave in the mountain. When he came out of it and saw a host of the monkey, he said to himself, God has provided me with a feast. I will devour them all today. I have been starving for many days past and have never had a full meal. Today God has supplied me with abundant food all at a time. The monkeys trembled with fear to hear the vulture's words. Our doom is now sealed. We are sure, they said to themselves. All the monkeys rose when they saw the vulture, while Jamvan felt much perturbed at heart. Angada reflected within himself and said, there is no one so blessed as Jatayu, who laid down his life in the service of Sri Rama and ascends to the abode of Sri Hari. Supremely lucky as he was, when the bird Sampati heard these words, which stirs in him a mixed feeling of joy and grief, he drew near to the monkey, who felt alarmed by his presence. Assuring them of safety, he went and inquired them about his younger brother, and the monkey told him the whole story. When Sampati heard of his brother's obsequies performed by the Lord with his own hands, he glorified the Lord of Raghu in many ways. Take me to the seashore so that I may make an offering of water with sesame seed to my departed brother. I can help you only verbally, by following which you will succeed in recovering her whom you seek. When learned with the Srimad Bhagavad, the other scripture that the sage Kashyapa, the progenitor of the god and demons, as well as various subhuman species, begot two sons by Vinita, the mother of the feathered creation, Aruna and Garuda by name. Of these, Aruna served as a characters of the sun god, while Garuda was chosen by Bhagwan Vishnu as his own mount. Aruna is the father of the Sampati and Jatayu, who has belongs to the earliest period of the world history. Their enormous size and uncommon strength, their astonishing loveliness, and their speaking and behaving like human beings will therefore cause little wonder when it is remembered that the world has steadily deteriorated since the creation. Thus, thus they discoursed among themselves in many ways. Sampati, they discoursed among themselves. Discourse among themselves in many ways. Discourse means discourse in many ways. Discourse means in many ways. Discourse our themselves Discourse means speak or write authoritatively about a topic. Speak or write authoritatively about a topic. Engage in conversation is called a discourse. 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 They discourse among themselves in many ways. They discourse among engage in conversation is called a discourse. They discourse among themselves. Discourse among themselves. Discourse among themselves. Very nice. Discourse among themselves. Conversation with yourself is called a discourse. Discourse among themselves. Among themselves in many ways. And thus they discourse among themselves in many ways. Sampati, Jatayu's elder brother, heard them from the cave. Heard them from the cave. Heard them from the cave. The discourse, conversation is called a discourse. Heard themselves. Heard means heard. Heard means heard. Discourse. Conversation between them is called a discourse. Heard. Heard means heard. Heard. To receive sound with your ear. To receive sound with your ear is called the heard. To receive sound with your ear is called the heard. To receive sound with your ear is called the heard. To receive sound with your ear is called the heard. To receive sound with your ear is called the heard. To receive sound with your ear is called the heard. To receive sound with your ear is called the heard. To receive sound with your ear is called the heard. To receive sound with your ear is called the heard. To receive sound with your ear is called the heard. To receive sound with your ear is called the hear. To receive sound with your ear is called the hear. To receive sound with your ear is called the hear. To receive sound with your ear is called the hear. To receive sound with your ear is called the hear. To receive sound with your ear is called the hear. To receive sound with your ear is called the hear. To receive sound with your ear is called the hear. To receive sound with your ear is called the hear. To receive sound with your ear is called the hear. To receive sound with your ear is called the hear. To receive sound with your ear is called the hear. To receive sound with your ear is called the. To receive sound with your ear is called the hear. Here, thus they discourse among themselves in many ways. Sampati, Jatayu's mother, heard them from the cave in the mountain. Heard them from his cave. Heard them from his cave in the mountain. When he came out of it and saw a host of the monkeys, when saw said himself, God. When he came out it and saw a host of the monkeys, he said to himself, monkey. When he came out of it and saw a host of the monkeys, monkeys means host of the monkeys. Host means a person who invites guests to his her house and provide them with food, drink, etc. A person who invites guests to his her house, etc. and provide them with food and drink is called the host. A person who invites guests to his her house and provide them with food, drink, etc. is called the host. A person who invites guests to his her house and provide them with food and drink is called the. A person who invites guests to his her house and provide them with food, drink, etc. A person who invites guests host to the house and provide them with food, drink, etc. is called the host. A person who invites guests to his or her house and provide them with food, drink, etc. A person who invites guests to his or her house and provide them with food, drink, etc. is called the host. A person who invites guests to his or her house and provide them with food, drink, etc. is called the host. A person who introduces a television or radio show and talk to the guest is called the host. A person who introduces television or radio shows and talk to the guest is called the host. A person who introduces television or radio show and talk to the guest is called the host. A person who introduces a television or radio show and talk to the guest is called the host. A person who introduces a television or radio show and talk to the guest is called the host. A person who introduces television or radio show and talk to the guest is called the host. A person who introduces a television or radio show and talk to the guest is called the host. A person who introduces a television or radio show and talk to the guest is called the host. A person who introduces a television or radio show or talk to the guest is called the host. A person who invites guests and provide with food and drink is called the host. Food, drink is called the host. Thus God, when he came out to saw a host of the monkey's host means provide food, invite person to his home and provide food is called the host. Is called the host. A person who invites somebody and something and provide the food and drink is called the host. To talk to the public is called the host. A television show and talk to the public is called the host. And said to himself, God has provided me with a feast. And talk to monkey, host of the monkey, he said to himself, God has provided me with a feast. God has provided me with a feast. Provided me with a feast. Provided means God has provided me with a feast. Provided means provided me with a feast. Provided means only if one condition that. Only if is called the provided. Only if is called the provided. Only if provided. Provided means to cause in the future. Something to be available or to be happen. Something to be available or to happen in the future is called the provided. Something to cause something to be available or to be happen in future is in the future is called the provided. In the monkey trembled with provided me when he came out of it and saw a host of the monkey. He said to himself, God has provided me with a feast. God has provided me with a feast. Feast means what is God has provided me with a feast. Talk to himself. God has provided me with a feast. Feast means God has provided me with a feast. God has provided me with a feast. God has provided me with a feast. God has provided me. God has elaborate feast. Feast means an elaborate and usually abundant meal, often accompanied by ceremony or entertainment. Feast means an elaborate and usually abundant meal. An elaborate and usually abundant meal, after accompanied by ceremony or entertainment, is called the feast. Banquet, something that gives unusual or abundant enjoyment or visual feast. Feast means something that gives you unusual or abundant enjoyment, a visual feast. Something and usually abundant meal, often accompanied by ceremony or entertainment, is banquet, is called the feast. Abundant meal, often accompanied by ceremony or entertainment, banquet, is called the feast. Abundant meal often accompanied by a ceremony or entertainment banquet is called the feast. Abundant meal often accompanied by ceremony or entertainment banquet is called the feast. Abundant meal often accompanied by company ceremony or entertainment banquet is called the feast. Abundant meal often accompanied by ceremony or entertainment banquet is called the feast. Abundant abundant meal often accompanied by ceremony or entertainment banquet is called the feast. Abundant meal after accompanied often accompanied by ceremony or entertainment banquet is called the feast. The monkey full meal. God has provided me with a feast. I will devour them all today. God has provided me with a feast. Feast means with a feast. Abundant meal often accompanied by ceremony or entertainment banquet. Abundant meal often accompanied by ceremony or entertainment banquet. Abundant meal often and accompanied by ceremony or entertainment banquet. Abundant meal often accompanied by ceremony or entertainment banquet. Abundant meal often accompanied by ceremony or entertainment banquet. Abundant meal often accompanied by God has provided me with a feast. I will devour them all today. I have been starving for many days past and have never had a full meal. I have been starving for many days past. I have starving for many days past. Starving for many days past. I have starving for many days past. I starving means to suffer or die because you do not have enough food to make somebody something suffer or die in this way. To suffer or die because you do not have enough food to eat. To suffer or die because you do not have enough food to eat is called the starving. To suffer or die because you do not have enough food to eat is called the starving. To suffer or die because you do not have enough food to eat is called the starving. To suffer or die because you do not have enough food to eat is called the starving. To suffer or die because you do not have enough food to suffer or die because you do not have enough food to eat is called the starving. Make somebody something suffer or die in this way. Make somebody something suffer or die in this way. To suffer or die because you do not have enough food to eat. To make somebody something suffer or die in this way. To suffer or die because you do not have enough food to eat. To make somebody to suffer or die because you do not have enough food to eat. To suffer or die because you do not have enough food to eat. To suffer or die because you do not have enough food to suffer or die. You are starving. To suffer or die because you do not have enough food to eat. I have been starving for many days past and have never had a full meal. Never had a full meal. Full meal. Never had a full meal. Never had a starving. Starving means to suffer or die because you do not have enough food to eat. To suffer or die because you do not have enough food to eat. To suffer or die because you do not have enough food to eat. Meal. You suffer or die because you do not have enough food to eat. Meal. Meal means the time when you eat of food in that is eaten at that time. The time when you eat is called the meal. Time when you eat is called the meal. The time when you eat is called the meal. And the time when you eat is called the meal. The time when you eat is called the meal. The time when you eat is called the meal. The time when you eat is called the meal. The time when you eat is called the meal. The time when you eat is called the meal. The time when you eat is called the meal. The time when you eat is called the meal. The monkey trembled. Time when you eat is called the meal. I have never had a full meal. Today God has supplied me with abundant food at all time. Supplied me. God has supplied me. God has supplied me abundant food. God has supplied me abundant food. God has supplied me abundant food. Meal. Meal means food. Time to take it. Abundant. Abundant means existing in very large quantity. More than enough is called the abundant. 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 God has provided me with a feast. I will devour them all today. I will devour them all. I will devour them all today. I will devour them all today. I will devour them abundant. Abundant means devour. I will devour them all today. Devour means devour. Devour them. Devour means to eat something quickly because you are very hungry is called a devour. To eat something quickly because you are very hungry is called a devour. To eat something quickly, to do, use something quickly and completely. To do or use something quickly and completely is called a devour. To eat something quickly because you are very hungry. Because you are very hungry. To eat something quickly because you are very hungry. To eat something quickly because you are very hungry. To eat something quickly because you are very hungry. God has provided me with a feast. I will devour them all today. I have been starving for many days past. Starving. I have been starving for many days past. Starving, devour. Starving means I have been starving for many days past. Starving for many days past. Starving for starving. To suffer or die because you do not have enough food to eat. To suffer or die because you do not have enough food to eat. To make somebody something suffer or die in this way is called the starving. To suffer or die because you do not have enough food to eat. To make somebody something suffer or die in this way is called the starving. To suffer or die because you do not have enough food to eat. To make somebody something suffer or die in this way. God has provided me with a feast. I will devour them all today. I have been starving for many days past and have never had a full meal. Today God has supplied me with abundant food all the time. The monkey trembled with fear to hear the vulture word. The monkeys trembled with fears. Monkeys trembled with fears to hear. Trembled means monkeys trembled with fears. Trembled with fear. Trembled means trembled. Tremble means the to shake, for example, because you are cold, frightened. To shake, for example, because you are cold, frightened is called a tremble. To shake, for example, because you are cold, frightened is called a tremble. To shake because you are cold, frightened, etc. To shake because you are cold, frightened is called a tremble. Trembled with fear. Fear. Trembled with fear. Trembled with fear. Trembled with fear. Trembled with fear. Fear means trembled with fear. Fear means fear. Fear means the feeling that you have when something dangerous, painful, or frightening might happen is called the fear. The feeling that you have when something dangerous, painful, or frightening might happen is called the fear. The feeling that you have when something dangerous, painful, or frightening might happen is called the fear. The feeling that you have when something dangerous, painful, or frightening might happen is called the fear. The feeling that you have when something dangerous, painful, or frightening might happen is called the fear. The feeling that you have when something dangerous, painful, or frightening might happen is called the fear. The feeling that you have when something dangerous, painful, or frightening might happen is called the fear. The feeling that you have when there is something dangerous, painful, or frightening might happen is called the fear. The feeling that you have when something dangerous, painful, or frightening might happen is called the fear. The feeling that you have when something dangerous, painful, or frightening might happen is called the fear. The feeling that you have when something dangerous, painful, or frightening might happen is called the fear. The feeling that you have when something dangerous, painful, or frightening might happen is called the fear. The feeling that you have when something dangerous, painful, or frightening might happen is called the fear. The feeling that you have when something dangerous, painful, or frightful might happen is called the fear. The feeling that you have when something dangerous, painful, or frightening might happen is called the fear. The feeling that you have when something dangerous, painful, or frightening might happen is called the fear. The feeling that you have when something dangerous, painful, or frightening might happen is called the fear. The feeling that you have when something dangerous, painful, or frightening might happen is called the fear. The feeling that you have when something dangerous, painful, or frightening might happen is called the fear. The feeling that you have when something dangerous, painful, or frightening might happen is called the fear. I will devour them all. I have been starving for many days past and have never had a full meal. Today God has supplied me with abundant food. All at time. The monkeys trembled with fear to hear vulture's words. Our doom is now sealed. Our doom, vulture's words. To hear the fear, trembled with fear, trembled with fear. To hear the vulture words. To hear the vulture's words. To hear, trembled with fear. To hear the vulture's word. Trembled with fear. To hear the vulture's word. Here means hear the vulture's words. Here means to receive sound with your ear. Receive sound with your ear is called the hear. Receive sound with your ear is called the hear. Receive sound with your ear is called the hear. Receive sound with your ear is called the hear. Receive sound with your ear is called the hear. Receive sound with your ear is called the hear. God has supplied me with the abundant food order to hear this word. Fear, to hear the vulture's words, to hear the vulture's word. Our doom is now sealed. To hear the vulture's word. Our doom is now sealed. Doom is now sealed. Our doom is now sealed. We are sure. We are sure. We are sure. Our doom is now sealed. We are sure. Doom means doom. Here, receive sound with ear is called the hear. Doom means receive sound with the ears is called doom. Doom means death or terrible event in the future which you cannot avoid is called the doom. Death or terrible event in the future which you cannot avoid is called the doom. Death or terrible event in the future which you cannot avoid is called the doom. Death or terrible event in the future which you cannot avoid is called the doom. Death or terrible event in the future which you cannot avoid is called the doom. Death or terrible event in the future that you cannot avoid is called the doom. The monkey trembled with fear to hear the vulture's word. To hear the vulture's word. To hear the vulture's words. Our doom is now sealed. We are sure. They said to themselves. All the monkey rose when they saw the vulture. All the monkey rose when they saw the vulture. While Jamun felt much perturbed at heart. When Jamun felt much perturbed at heart. The Jamun felt much perturbed at heart. Jamun said much perturbed at heart. Jamun felt much perturbed at heart. Perturbed means troubled in mind is called the troubled in mind is called the perturbed. 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 Chintit, pareshan, agitate, discompose, disturbed is called the perturbed. 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 And said, there is no one so blessed as Jatayu, who laid down his life in service of ShriRam. There is no so perturbed. The monkey rose. Our doom is now sealed. We are sure. They said to themselves. All the monkey rose when they saw the vulture, while Javan felt much perturbed at heart. Angada reflected within himself and said, "There is no one so blessed as Jatayu." Angada reflected within himself, who laid down his life in the service of Sri Rama and ascended to the abode of Sri Hari, supremely lucky as he was, Sri Rama, and ascended to the abode of Sri Hari, extended. There is no one so blessed as Jatayu, who laid down his life in the service of Sri Rama and ascended to the abode of the Sri Hari, supremely lucky as he was. There is no one so blessed as Jatayu, who laid down his life in the service of Sri Rama and ascended to the abode of Sri Hari, supremely lucky as he was. When the bird Sampati heard these words, which stirs in him a mixed feeling of joy and grief. When the bird Sampati heard these words, which stirred in him a mixed feeling of joy and grief. Which stirred in him a mixed feeling of joy and grief. Which stirred in him a mixed feeling of joy and grief. A mixed feeling of joy and grief. When the bird Sampati heard these words, mixed which stirred in the with stirred hear these words, which stirred in him a mixed feeling of joy and grief. When the bird Sampati heard these words, which stirred in him a mixed feeling of joy and grief, which stirred in him a mixed feeling of joy and grief, 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 mixed feeling of which when the mixed feeling of joy and grief, he drew near to the monkey. He drew near to the monkey, who felt alarmed by his presence. Who felt alarmed by his presence. Assuring them of safety, he went and inquired them about his younger brother. Assuring them of safety, he went and inquired them about his younger brother, and the monkey told him the whole story. When Sampati heard of his brother's obsequies performed by the Lord with his own hands, he glorified the Lord of Raghu in many ways. He glorified the Lord of Raghu in many ways. Glorified the Lord of Raghu. He glorified the Lord of Raghu in many ways. 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 Glorify means describe in way that makes something seem better, bigger, more important than he or she really is called the glorified. Describe in a way that makes something seem better, bigger, more important than she really is called the glorified. Describe in a way that makes something seems bigger, better, bigger, more important, etc. She is really is called the he glorified. Describe in a glorified. To praise or honor something or somebody to an extreme degree is called is glorified. To praise or honor somebody or something to an extreme degree is called a glorified. To praise or honor something or somebody to an extreme degree is called a glorified. To praise or honor something or somebody to an extreme degree is called a glorified. He glorified the Lord of Raghu in many ways. Take me to the seashore so that I may make an offering of water. Make a offering of water with sesame seed. Make a offering of water. Make a offering of water with sesame seed. Make a offering of water with sesame seed. Make a offering of water with make a offering of water with sesame seed. to my departed brother, I can help you only verbally, by following which you will succeed in recovering her whom you seek. I can only help you verbally. 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 Verbally. I can only help you verbally. Verbally means verbally. Verbally means I can find verbally. Verbally means verbally. Verbally. Verbally means verbally. I can help you only verbally. Verbally means मौखिक रूप से इसका अर्थ वर्बली, मौखिक रूप से इसका अर्थ वर्बली, मौखिक रूप से इसका अर्थ वर्बली, मौखिक रूप से इसका अर्थ वर्बली. Using spoken words rather than written words is called verbally. Using spoken words rather than written words is called verbally. Orally, the committee verbally. Using spoken words rather than written words is called verbally. Using spoken words rather than written word is called verbally. Using spoken words rather than written word is called verbally. Using spoken words rather than written word is called verbally. Using spoken word rather than written word is called verbally. Using spoken words rather than written word is called verbally. Using spoken words rather than written word is called verbally. Using spoken words rather than written word is called verbally. Using spoken word rather than written word is called verbally. I can only help verbally, so that I may make offering to water of the by following which you can succeed in recovering her. By following which I can help you verbally. Spoken word, not written or spoken words. By following which you will succeed in recovering her. By following which I can help you only verbally. Following means following. By following which following means coming immediately after is called the following. 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 Coming immediately or after is called the following. Coming immediately 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 after is called the following. I may make an offering of water with sesame seed. I can help you only verbally, by following which you will succeed in recovering her. Following which after coming, following which succeeded means recovering her. Succeeded, following means coming immediately after is called the following. 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 Succeed means to manage or to achieve what you want to do well is called the succeed. To manage to achieve what you want is called the succeed. To manage to achieve what you want is called the succeed. To manage to achieve what you want is called the achieve. To do well is called the achieve. To do well is called the succeed. 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 To manage to achieve what you want is called the succeed. To manage to achieve what you want is called the succeed. To manage to achieve what you want is called the succeed. To manage to achieve what you want is called the succeed. To manage to achieve what you want is called the succeed. To manage to achieve what you want is called the succeed. To manage to achieve what you want is called the succeed. To manage to achieve what you want is called the succeed. To manage to achieve what you want is called the succeed. To manage to achieve what you want is called the succeed. To manage to achieve what you want is called the succeed. To manage to achieve what you want is called the succeed. Take me to the seashore, so that I may make an offering of water with sesame seed to my departed brother. I can help you only verbally, by following which you will succeeded in recovering her whom you seek. Succeeded what you want is called the succeed. To manage to achieve what you want is called the succeed.
To manage to achieve what you want is called the succeed. To manage to achieve what you want is called the succeed. To manage to achieve what you want is called the succeed. To manage to achieve what you want is called the succeed. To manage to achieve what you want is called the succeed. To manage to achieve what you want is called the succeed. To manage to achieve what you want is called the succeed. To have a job or important position after something else is called the succeed. To have a job or important position after something else is called the succeed. To have a job or important position after something else is called the succeed. To come next after another in office or position is called to come next after another is called the succeed. I can help you only verbally, by following which you will succeed in recovering her whom you seek. Thus they discourse among themselves. Thus they discourse about themselves. Discourse means conversation. Discourse them among themselves in many ways. Thus they discourse their conversation with themselves in many ways. Sampati Jatayu's elder brother heard them from his cave in the mountain. In his cave in the mountain, when he came out of it and saw a host of the monkey. Host means entertainment, or to talk to the guest is called the host of the monkey. He said to himself, God has provided me with a feast. I will devour host of them all today. I have been starving for many days past and have never had a full meal today. God has supplied me with abundant food all at time. Also, God has supplied me with abundant food all at time. The monkey trembled with fear to hear the vulture's words. Oh, our doom is now sealed. Sealed. Our doom is now sealed. Sealed. Our doom. Our doom is now sealed. Our doom is now. Doom is now sealed. Doom. Doom means. Our doom is now sealed. Doom means. Our doom is now sealed. Doom means doom. Doom. Our doom is now sealed. Doom is now sealed. Doom. Doom means doom. Doom means to give judgment against is called the doom. 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 Calamity. Doom. Doom is to give judgment against is called the doom. To give judgment against is called the doom. Doom means to give judgment against a law or ordinary, especially algo. To doom is called judgment decision is called the doom. Judgment decision is called the doom. Judgment. Doom means to judgment, to fix this destiny. To give judgment against is called the doom. 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 It is said to the monkey trembled with fear to hear the vulture's words. Trembled with fear to hear, our doom is now sealed, we are sure. They said to themselves. All the monkeys rose when they saw the vulture, while Jaman felt much perturbed at heart. Angada reflected within himself, reflected within himself, reflected within himself. Reflected means Angada reflected within himself. Doom. Reflected. Judgment is called. Against judgment is called the doom. Reflected. Reflected means reflected. 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 Reflect means a prevent passage that cause to change direction is called the reflect. The prevent passage reflect to give back image, likeness or outline. Mirror is called exhibit an image is called the reflected. To give back or exhibit an image is called the to give back or exhibit an image is called the reflect. To give back or exhibit an image is called the reflect. To give back or exhibit an image, likeness or outline is mirror is called the reflect. To give back, exhibit image, a mirror is called the reflected. To give back, exhibit an image, mirror is called the reflected. To give back, exhibit an image, likeness or outline, mirror is called the reflected. To give back and exhibit an image is called a reflect. To give back and exhibit an image is called a reflected. To give back and exhibit, to bring or cast as a razor, to make manifest, to give back, to give back, to, to, to give back or exhibit as an image is called the reflect. To give back or exhibit an image is called the reflect. To give back or exhibit an image is called the reflected. To give back or exhibit an image is called the reflected. To give back and exhibit an image, mirror is called the reflect. To give back and exhibit an image is called the reflected. To give back and exhibit an image is called the reflected. The reflected with him within himself, reflected, give back and to give back and reflect an image, reflected within himself, reflected within Angada, reflected within himself. There is no one so blessed as Jatayu, no one so blessed as Jatayu, who laid down his life in the service of Shri Rama and ascends to the abode of Shri Hari, supremely lucky as he was. When the bird Sampati heard these words, which stirred in him a mixed feeling of joy and grief, mixed feeling of joy and grief, mixed feeling of joy, feeling of joy and grief, mixed feeling of joy and grief, mixed feeling of joy and grief, reflected, mixed feeling of joy and grief, mixed feeling of joy and grief, feeling means feeling of joy and grief, mixed feeling of joy and grief, feeling. The one of the basic physical senses of which the skin contains chief and organs, especially sensory touch. The generally bodily consciousness or sensation is called the generalized bodily consciousness or sensation is called the feeling. Generalized bodily consciousness and sensation is called the generalized bodily generalized bodily consciousness or sensation is called the feel. Generalized bodily consciousness and sensation is called the feel. Generalized bodily consciousness or sensation is called the feel. Generalized bodily consciousness or sensation is called the feel. Generalized bodily consciousness and sensation. The emotional state or reaction is called the feel. The emotional state or reaction is called the feel. The emotional state or reaction is called the feel. The emotional state or reaction is called the feel. The emotional state or reaction is called the feel. The emotional state or reaction is called the feel. The emotional state or reaction is called the feel. The emotional state or reaction is called the feel. The emotional state or reaction is called the feel. The emotional state or reaction is called the feel. The emotional state or reaction is called the feel. The emotional state or reaction is called the feel. The emotional state or reaction is called the feel. The emotional state or reaction is called the feel. The emotional state or reaction is called the feel. The emotional state or reaction is called the feel. The feel, the mixed feeling, the emotional state or reaction is called the feel. The emotional state or reaction is called the feel. The emotional state or the mixed feeling of joy and grief. He drew near to the monkey, who felt alarmed by his presence, assuring them of safety. He went and inquired them about his younger brother, and the monkey told him the whole story. When Sampati heard of his brother's obsequies performed by Lord with his own hands, he glorified the Lord of Raghu in many ways. Take me the seashore so that I make an offering of the water with sesame seeds to my departed brother. I can help you only verbally, by following which you will succeed in recovering her whom you seek. Thus they discourse among themselves in many ways. Sampati, Jatayu's elder brother, heard them from the cave in the mountain. When he came out of it and saw a host of the monkeys, he said to himself, God has provided me with a feast. I will devour them all today. I have been starving for many days past and have never had a full meal. Today God has God has supplied me with abundant food all at time. The monkey trembled with fear to hear the vulture's words. Our doom is now sealed. We are sure our doom is now sealed. We are sure, they said to themselves. All the monkey rose when they saw the vulture, while Jamvan felt much perturbed at heart. Angada reflected within himself and said, "There is no one so blessed as the Jatayu who laid down his life in the service of Sri Rama and sent to the abode of the Sri Hari, supremely lucky as he was." When the bird Sampati heard these words, which shares in him a mixed feeling of joy and grief, he drew near to the monkey, who felt alarmed by his presence. Assuring them of safety, he went and inquired them about his younger brothers, and the brother monkey told him the whole stories. When Sampati heard of his brother's obscurities performed by the Lord with his own hands, he glorified the Lord of Raghu in many ways. "Take me the seashore, so that I may make an offering of water and sesame seed to my departed brother. I can help you only verbally, by following which you will succeed in recovering her whom you seek." Shri Ramayana, Shri Ramayana, Shri Ramayana.